This abridged version of the spiritual diary of Elizabeth Kindelmann is a simplified retelling of her experiences with Jesus and Mary from her diary. The idea is to make her diary more accessible to others without having to sit down and read the entire journal, which you of course are welcome to do if this speaks to you. However, I believe this gets her experiences and message across. It focuses on the flame of love, a powerful grace given through Mary's Immaculate heart to blind Satan and save souls. Elizabeth's life of prayer, sacrifice, and trust became the foundation for this extraordinary devotion. The original diary contains Elizabeth's personal struggles, triumphs, and the heavenly messages she received. In this version, the content has been carefully condensed and rephrased to make it easier to read, especially for younger readers or those new to this devotion. Key details of the narrative and all direct quotes from Jesus and Mary remain untouched to preserve the authenticity and spiritual depth of their words. By focusing on the heart of the message, this abridged version invites readers to understand and embrace the flame of love with simplicity and clarity. Let us begin. Chapter 1, Beginnings. Elizabeth Kindelmann was a widow with 6 children. Life was hard and she often felt far from God. Her faith grew cold, and she found herself questioning everything, even why she had such a large family. Work was unstable, and she struggled to provide for her children. If you didn't have your children, you would have given up, she once thought Satan mocked her. Even though she still attended Mass, Elizabeth felt empty and distant from God. She started going to church at night so her children wouldn't see her struggling to pray. One Sunday, she decided not to go to Mass at all, but something pushed her to go at the last minute. Even then, she didn't feel connected to God. God doesn't want me anymore, she thought. The turning point. On June 15th, 1961, Elizabeth attended the funeral of a Carmelite brother, someone she admired for his holy life. As she stood at the graveside, she felt him speak to her heart. Do not cry. Return to Carmel. The next day, on the feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel, Elizabeth went to confession, though she felt dry and numb. That night she knelt before a statue of Our Lady of Lourdes and prayed with new hope. Heavenly Mother, my steps are so uncertain, do not abandon me. In the following days, Elizabeth felt extraordinary graces from God. She began to hear simple, loving messages in her heart. Jesus told her, "Look at my disfigured face and my tortured body. Did I not suffer for souls? Believe in me and adore me." Moved by these words, Elizabeth begged Jesus, "Never let me be separated from you, a life of sacrifice." Jesus started asking Elizabeth to let go of her possessions and trust him completely. When her children moved back home, she gave up her 4-bedroom house and moved into a small shared room. Later, she gave even that room to her youngest son when he married, leaving herself with nothing. She struggled with feelings of fear and abandonment, but Jesus encouraged her, "Accept all that is still to come. I want you to live in the greatest humility." Elizabeth's love for Jesus grew stronger. She said, "Jesus, am I capable of this?" He answered, "Just will it and trust me." Finding her place with God. At one point, Elizabeth worried she had nowhere to go, but God opened a new door. She received a key to the local church and began spending hours there alone with Jesus. She prayed, "Jesus, are we alone here?" He replied, "Unfortunately, yes. Make great efforts, so many will come." Elizabeth recorded her first conversations with Jesus in 1961. He asked her to pray for priests and make sacrifices for their souls. He also urged her to share his love and his words with others. Do not worry about how to make the cause prevail. Be humble and give me even the little things. Chapter 2, 1962. At the start of 1962, Elizabeth's life began to change even more. Jesus and Mary were asking her to make sacrifices to save souls, and she was learning how to follow their requests. Sacrifices for priests. In March, Jesus asked Elizabeth to fast every Thursday and Friday on just bread and water. He told her to pray for 12 special priests who would spread the flame of love devotion. He explained, "Accepting this sacrifice will gain extraordinary graces. Spend time in my presence and make reparation for the sins of the world." Though it was hard, Elizabeth agreed. Jesus also reminded her to turn to Mary in times of temptation. "Flee to our mother. She will defend you from the evil one." Living for God alone, Jesus encouraged Elizabeth to live completely for him. I want you entirely for myself. Nothing, not even a hair, must separate us." At first Elizabeth doubted herself. "Jesus, I understand very little," she said. But Jesus reassured her, "Draw close to my mother. She is guiding you to me." He also reminded her of her purpose. "Your life's goal must always be to bring souls to me. Do not let anything else distract you." The weekly prayer plan. Jesus gave Elizabeth a plan for each day of the week to help her focus on prayer and sacrifices. Monday, pray and fast for the souls in purgatory. Jesus promised, "Whoever practices this fast will be freed within 8 days of their death." Tuesday, pray for family members and ask Mary to protect them. Wednesday, pray for priestly vocations so more young men would become priests. Thursday and Friday, make sacrifices and spend time in prayer for priests. Saturday, honor Mary and pray for priests close to death. Sunday, no specific instructions, but Elizabeth was to keep the day holy. Mary's flame of love. On April 13th, Elizabeth had a special encounter with Mary, who was deeply sorrowful. "There is so much sin in this country. Help me save souls." Mary handed her a special grace. "This is the flame of love of my heart. Add your love to it and pass it to others." When Elizabeth asked why Mary didn't perform miracles like at Fatima, Mary explained, "The more miracles I work, the fewer who believe. I have given you this flame, which will blind Satan and light up hearts." Family prayer and sacrifices. Mary also urged Elizabeth to gather families for a holy hour of prayer on Thursdays and Fridays. She explained, "Where 2 or 3 gather in prayer, my Son is there." Elizabeth worked hard to spread the flame of love devotion, but not everyone accepted her message. She often felt rejected and discouraged. When she shared her experiences with a priest, he brushed her off. Elizabeth cried out to Mary, "Whom did you send me to? No one listens to me." But Mary encouraged her to keep going, promising, "The flame of love is gentle. It will spread from heart to heart, and miracles will come from it." Blinding Satan. One day, Elizabeth experienced the power of the flame of love. Mary told her, "Satan has been blinded for some hours now. He has lost his power, especially over the sin of lust. Many souls are free from his grasp. Tomorrow, millions will seek conversion." Elizabeth was amazed. Mary explained, "Since the Word became flesh, I have never given such a great movement as the flame of love." Do not refuse this gift. Chapter 3, 1963. In 1963, Elizabeth faced many challenges as she continued to follow the requests of Jesus and Mary. She learned that her sacrifices and prayers were part of a much bigger mission to save souls. New requests from Jesus. At the start of the year, Jesus reminded Elizabeth of her mission. "Do not grow tired. Your sacrifices and prayers are needed to save souls. Do not let anything distract you from this work." He asked her to pray and fast even more, saying, "Offer everything, your joys, your struggles, even your smallest sacrifices, to blind Satan and bring souls to me." Elizabeth felt overwhelmed but trusted in Jesus' strength. "Jesus, I am weak," she said. He replied, "Do not rely on yourself. I will give you the strength you need." Mary's promises. Mary spoke to Elizabeth often, encouraging her, "My flame of love will spread and bring light to the whole world." With this flame, Satan will be blinded, and many souls will be saved. Mary also explained that this grace was unique. Since the Word became flesh, nothing like this has been given. "Through this flame, my heart will triumph, and the world will be renewed." Suffering and temptations. Elizabeth experienced many trials, including spiritual dryness and doubts. At times, she felt like she couldn't feel God's presence at all. She cried out, "Jesus, where are you?" "Why have you left me?" Jesus answered, "I have not left you. I am closest to you when you suffer. Offer this pain for souls." Even one prayer said in dryness is more powerful than many prayers said with ease. Satan also tried to discourage Elizabeth by filling her with fears and lies. But Mary reassured her, "Do not fear, my child. Hide under my mantle, and I will protect you. Remember, my flame of love blinds Satan and takes away his power." The power of the flame of love. One day, Mary showed Elizabeth the incredible effect of her sacrifices and prayers. Satan is blinded, and countless souls are turning back to God. This grace will bring about conversions like never before. Do not stop sharing this flame. Elizabeth saw how this grace worked in her own country, Hungary. Mary urged her to keep spreading the message. Pass this flame from heart to heart. It will grow into a fire that blinds Satan and fills the world with light. Hope for families. Jesus and Mary also spoke about the importance of families. Jesus told Elizabeth, "Pray for families, for they are under attack. Your prayers and sacrifices will bring peace and unity to homes torn apart by sin and division." Mary added, "With my flame of love, I want to bring love and harmony back to families. Help me. Pray for parents and children, and I will take them under my protection." A mission for the whole world. Elizabeth realized that her mission was not just for herself or her country, but for the entire world. Mary told her, "This flame of love will spread to every nation. It will bring about a time of grace and renewal." Trust in God's plan. Even when she felt small and unimportant, Elizabeth remembered Mary's words, "Your sacrifices, no matter how small, have great power. They are like drops of water that feed a mighty river." Chapter 4, 1964. By 1964, Elizabeth had grown stronger in her mission to spread the flame of love. She continued to face challenges, but her trust in Jesus and Mary deepened as they revealed more of their plans to save souls. The power of love and sacrifice. Jesus explained to Elizabeth how much he needed her sacrifices. "When you suffer, unite it with my passion. Even small sacrifices become powerful when you offer them with love. You are helping save souls and blinding Satan." Elizabeth sometimes felt her sacrifices were too small to matter, but Jesus reassured her, "What you do for me, no matter how little, has great value when it is done with love. Never underestimate the power of your offering." Mary's warnings and encouragement. Mary continued to emphasize the importance of the flame of love. She said, "Satan's power is growing stronger in the world, and so I need your help more than ever. My flame of love will blind him and stop his influence over souls." Elizabeth asked, "Mother, how can I do all that you ask?" "I feel so weak," Mary replied. "You are not alone. I am with you, and my son will give you the strength you need. Trust in his grace." Mary also warned Elizabeth that many would reject the flame of love. "Even some of my children will not believe in this grace. But do not be discouraged. Keep spreading the flame. It will grow and bring light to the whole world." More ways to blind Satan. Jesus and Mary gave Elizabeth practical ways to blind Satan and protect souls. One-night vigils. Jesus asked Elizabeth to wake up at night to pray, saying, "In the quiet of the night I seek souls who will comfort me." Your prayers at night will bring great graces to the world. 2. Family prayer. Mary urged families to pray together, explaining, "When families pray, my son's presence fills their homes. This will bring peace and unity." 3. Sacrifices. Jesus reminded Elizabeth that fasting, giving up comforts, and offering her daily struggles would help save souls. A vision of hope. Elizabeth was given a beautiful vision of what the flame of love could accomplish. Mary told her, "Through this grace, entire nations will turn back to God. Families will be healed, and hearts will be filled with love." Elizabeth asked, "How will this happen, Mother?" Mary answered, "By spreading this flame heart to heart. It will grow into a fire that no one can stop. My flame of love is a gift from God, and it will bring about a new time of grace." Encouragement for priests. Jesus also spoke about the role of priests in spreading the flame of love. He said, "My priests must speak about my mother and this grace. They are called to lead others to me through her flame of love." Elizabeth was asked to pray especially for priests, as Jesus explained, "Many priests are tired and discouraged. Your prayers will give them strength and help them in their mission." Trusting God's plan. Even when Elizabeth felt discouraged or doubted her mission, Jesus reminded her to trust. "Do not be afraid. I am with you. My mother's flame of love will triumph, even if it takes time." Mary added, "Stay humble and hidden, my child. Do not seek recognition. Your work is precious to my son, and he will reward you in heaven." Chapter 5, 1965. In 1965, Elizabeth's mission to spread the flame of love grew, but so did the challenges she faced. Jesus and Mary continued to guide her with their words and promises, giving her the strength to persevere. Satan's attacks and Mary's protection. As Elizabeth worked harder to spread the flame of love, Satan tried to stop her. He filled her with doubts and fears, whispering lies into her heart. But Mary reassured her, "Do not be afraid, my child. I have crushed Satan, and I will protect you. Stay under my mantle." Elizabeth often felt weak and tired, but she trusted in Mary's help. "Mother, I am so small," she said. Mary replied, "It is your humility that allows me to work through you. My flame of love will shine brighter because of your sacrifices." The flame spreads. Jesus told Elizabeth that the flame of love was beginning to grow. He said, "Your prayers and sacrifices are bearing fruit. Many hearts are being touched, and Satan is losing his power. Do not stop. The work is just beginning." Elizabeth saw how the flame of love brought hope to families and communities. Mary explained, "With this grace, families will be healed, and nations will find peace." Trust in God's plan. Night prayers for souls. Jesus continued to ask Elizabeth to pray at night, saying, "In the silence of the night, I seek souls who will comfort me." Your prayers at this time are powerful. They blind Satan and bring great graces to the world. Though it was difficult, Elizabeth obeyed. She offered her exhaustion to Jesus, saying, "Jesus, I do this for love of you and for souls." Encouragement for the church. Jesus also spoke to Elizabeth about the church. He said, "Pray for my priests and my church. They are under great attack, and your prayers will strengthen them." The flame of love is a gift for the whole church, and it will bring renewal. Mary added, "The church will shine with new light through this grace. My children will come back to God, and his love will fill their hearts." The value of sacrifice. Elizabeth sometimes struggled to keep going. She felt tired and discouraged, wondering if her efforts were enough. But Jesus reminded her, "Even your smallest sacrifices done with love have great value. Do not give up. I am with you always." Mary also encouraged her, "Your suffering is not wasted. It is like a seed that will grow into a great tree. Keep offering everything to God." A promise for families. Mary gave Elizabeth a special promise for families. "When families pray together, my Son is present in their homes. Through the flame of love, I will bring peace and unity to families torn apart by sin." Encourage families to pray and love one another. Hope for the future. Though the path was difficult, Jesus and Mary gave Elizabeth hope for the future. Jesus said, "The flame of love will spread to every nation. It will bring light to the darkest places and drive away sin. Trust in me, for I am guiding you." Mary assured her, "The triumph of my Immaculate Heart is coming. Through this flame, Satan will be blinded and souls will be saved. Do not stop sharing this grace." Chapter 6, 1966. By 1966, Elizabeth had fully embraced her mission to spread the flame of love. Although she faced trials and doubts, Jesus and Mary continued to strengthen her and reveal the importance of their message. Jesus' call to trust. Elizabeth sometimes doubted her ability to fulfill her mission. She told Jesus, "Lord, I am weak and often afraid." Jesus comforted her, "Do not be afraid. I am always with you. Trust me, and I will give you all the strength you need." He reminded her, "Your work is important because it blinds Satan and saves souls. Keep praying, fasting, and spreading the flame of love." Mary's encouragement. Mary continued to guide Elizabeth, saying, "The flame of love is a gift from my Immaculate Heart. Through it, the world will find healing and peace. Keep working, even if it feels difficult. I am with you always." Mary also reminded her of the importance of humility. "Stay hidden, my child. Do not seek recognition. The power of the flame of love will shine through your sacrifices." Battling Satan's lies. Satan didn't stop trying to discourage Elizabeth. He filled her mind with doubts, saying, "Your work is useless. No one believes you." But Elizabeth fought back with prayer and trust in God. She told Jesus, "I offer these attacks to you, Lord. Use them to save souls." Jesus encouraged her, saying, "Do not listen to Satan's lies. Every sacrifice you make is valuable, and every prayer you say blinds him further. Trust in the power of the flame of love, the growing flame." Mary shared with Elizabeth how the flame of love was beginning to grow. Many hearts are being touched, and more people are coming back to God. Even though it starts small, this flame will one day cover the whole world. Mary asked Elizabeth to continue spreading the message to priests, families, and anyone willing to listen. She promised, "Even if they doubt at first, the flame of love will take root in their hearts and transform them." Jesus' promise of grace. Jesus explained the power of the flame of love, saying, "This grace is like no other. It blinds Satan and frees souls from his influence. It brings light to those in darkness and saves countless souls. You are helping to spread this great gift." He also reminded Elizabeth of the importance of prayer. Prayer is your greatest weapon. Through prayer, you call down my mercy and blind Satan. Never stop praying, even when it feels difficult. Hope for families and the world. Elizabeth often prayed for families, and Mary reassured her. Through the flame of love, families will be healed and peace will return to homes. Encourage them to pray together, for my son's presence will fill their hearts. Mary also spoke about the future. The triumph of my Immaculate Heart is near. Through the flame of love, the world will experience a great renewal. Many souls will be saved, and Satan's power will be broken. A message for priests. Jesus and Mary reminded Elizabeth of the important role priests would play in spreading the flame of love. Jesus said, "Pray for my priests, for they are my chosen instruments. Encourage them to speak about my mother's flame of love, for it is through them that this grace will reach many souls." Mary added, "My priests are called to lead the way. Support them with your prayers and sacrifices, for their mission is great." Chapter 7, The Final Years. As Elizabeth neared the end of her life, her mission to spread the flame of love became even more urgent. She faced difficulties, but trusted completely in Jesus and Mary. They continued to guide her, reminding her of the importance of her sacrifices and prayers. The strength to continue. Elizabeth's health began to weaken, and her struggles grew harder. She sometimes felt like she couldn't go on. But Jesus told her, "Do not give up. Your work is not finished. Through your sacrifices, many souls are being saved." He also reminded her, "I am with you in every difficulty. When you feel weak, lean on me, for I will carry you." Mary's reassurance. Mary comforted Elizabeth during these hard times, saying, "Your suffering is precious to my son. Every pain you offer helps save souls. Do not be discouraged, for the flame of love is spreading, even when you cannot see it." Elizabeth prayed for strength to finish her mission, and Mary promised, "You are never alone, my child. I am always with you, guiding you to my son," a vision of triumph. As Elizabeth continued her prayers and sacrifices, Mary showed her a vision of the flame of love's triumph. "The flame will cover the whole world," Mary said. "It will bring light to the darkest places, heal families, and save countless souls. Satan's power will be broken, and my Immaculate Heart will triumph." Elizabeth was filled with hope and joy at this promise. She knew her work was part of something much bigger than herself, a call to persevere. Even when Elizabeth faced rejection or misunderstanding, Jesus encouraged her, "Do not worry about what others think. Your mission is to do my will. Keep spreading the flame of love, and I will take care of the rest." Mary also reminded her, "Stay humble and hidden. Your sacrifices are like seeds being planted. They will grow into something beautiful in God's time." Prayers for the dying. In her final years, Elizabeth focused more on praying for souls at the moment of death. Mary gave her this promise: "Whenever you pray during the night vigil, the flame of love will bless dying souls all over the world, saving them from eternal darkness." Elizabeth was amazed at this grace and worked tirelessly to share it with others. Preparing for heaven. Elizabeth began to feel that her time on earth was coming to an end. She told Jesus, "I offer my life to you, Lord. Use me however you wish." Jesus reassured her, "You have been faithful, and your reward in heaven will be great. Do not fear, for I will bring you home to me." Mary also comforted her, "When your work is done, I will take you into my arms and bring you to my son. You have done well, my child." The legacy of the flame of love. Though Elizabeth's life on earth ended in 1985, her mission lived on. The flame of love continued to spread, bringing hope, healing, and grace to countless people. Mary's promise was being fulfilled. The world will be renewed through the power of my flame of love. Trust in God's plan, for it will come to pass. This abridged version of the spiritual diary of Elizabeth Kindelmann is a simplified retelling of her experiences with Jesus and Mary from her diary. The idea is to make her diary more accessible to others without having to sit down and read the entire journal, which you of course are welcome to do if this speaks to you. However, I believe this gets her experiences and message across. It focuses on the flame of love, a powerful grace given through Mary's Immaculate